It seems like we might be entering the age of vigilantism, if that's even a word, with the recent news of United Healthcare, their CEO, getting shot and killed in the streets, and then the assassin running off on I think it was an electric bike. So a crazy scene, which is just kind of a bigger, brings into like question the bigger picture of what might be going on, society as a whole, maybe, where people don't feel heard by their leaders and feel like they are being screwed by people of the elite or the rich class or the ruling class, whatever you want to call it. They just feel like it's been pushed too far, and maybe we're swinging this other direction where people are sick and tired of waiting and trying to do the right thing, and they're just going to take matters into their own hands. And this guy obviously is not, by no means, a good person. Like, killing someone is never a good thing and should never be celebrated, even though there's people celebrating it. There's people twisting it and putting like weird points into it. So it's a whole thing. But this is basically the big problem that was with United Healthcare. So this is the claim denial rates by the insurance companies, the industry average, about 16%. Now, a lot of people will look at this and say it should be 0%, but it should be some sort of percent. I don't know what that percent is. Obviously, there's people who are trying to take advantage of the system, who try and do things and rig it in their way and make things happen that shouldn't be happening. But the vast majority of people just simply pay every month into health insurance, and when something happens, they just want it to be covered. That's 99% of people, and they get caught up in this denial thing. And you can't even see United Healthcare at the bottom here. We'll flip to this other one here. This is their thing right here. So 32% for United Healthcare. So they are well above the industry average. Not even in this cluster up here. They're denying almost a third of all claims. So that's the biggest thing that got people upset. And I would say rightfully so, right? Because if you are paying in to this insurance every single month, your whole life, and then something happens and you want to be covered by the thing you've been paying for every month, that doesn't seem unreasonable. But again, doing this vigilante type of justice thing isn't the best cause, isn't the best way to go about it, because of what we said. Some of the denials are justified. Some of them are people trying to rig the system and take advantage of it and do something wrong, and those need to be denied. So it can't be, there should be no denials, but it definitely shouldn't be, there should be a third denials. And for this here, he had some weird things going on. So the United Healthcare, with their denials being so big, you might think, man, why are they so outsized? Why is this, it's so much bigger than the industry average? Maybe it has to do with this right here, where it's saying that the United Healthcare is the country's largest private health insurer by market share, and, like other big carriers, have been targeted with lawsuits and criticism from regulators and lawmakers over allegedly denying claims to maximize profits. So that's what they're doing, right? Trying to make more money, keep more money, and take your money without actually giving you anything. The typical insurance company. But if you go over to this lawsuit here, this is where it gets more interesting for their twist on the what they've decided to do. You see that they've been sued over the use of algorithm to deny care for MA members. And this lawsuit alleges that United Health used NH Predict to deny claims despite the algorithm's determinations being overturned in more than 90% of appeals. So basically, they have an algorithm, an AI, to go through these claims, and it just denies them all. Not all of them, right? But it denies a vast majority of them, and has been proven that it's actually faulty. And by doing this, it's proven it's faulty because it's 90% appeals, a 90% appeal rate. Like, it's getting overturned almost 100% of the time. 90% of the time it's getting overturned. So this algorithm is not good, right? Clearly there's something wrong here. But instead of, taking it down and saying, clearly there's something wrong here, you can't have this margin of error of 90%. That's not a margin of error. That's just complete collapse. That's not good. But instead of taking care of it and saying, scrap this, bring in real people to look over this stuff and make sure that we're not doing things wrong, they just keep running it and say, oh, you know what? We'll see what happens. We make more money doing it this way. Because obviously they didn't actually really care. Even here, say, they were doing this even though they knew that the algorithm has a high error rate. I wouldn't call 90% high. I would call that unusable. That's not an error rate that's acceptable. If you had 90% error rate in any field, it's a problem. You have to address it. You can't just say, oh, it's a little high. It's okay. But this is why people got so mad, and it didn't even, like, they knew that this could be problematic because his wife here said that he had been receiving threats possibly related to healthcare coverage, but investigators haven't identified a motive for the murder. Obviously, they don't know who the murderer is, the assassin is. They don't, they're not going to put a motive on him, even though, like, we all know, right? This is the motive. The non-coverage types of stuff is a motive. The not fixing it is a motive. All the stuff that was going on is the motive. Like, people just simply want a healthcare system that they pay into every month, that they have this thing, they pay it every month, they think they're good, and when something happens, they just want to be able to say, hey, something came up, this thing that I pay into every single month, could you help me out a little bit? And it should be like, oh yeah, of course, like that's what it's here for, but clearly it's not. I mean, we all know that, right? But to end this off, they found his LinkedIn. So this was, I think, his last post he had on LinkedIn, talking about, finding ways to make healthcare more affordable, reducing the cost of life-saving prescription drugs, and all this stuff. And then the comments on here is where people are looking at this. People just kind of saying, calling him out and be like, yeah, you're doing a great job. Not having a single anesthesiologist in the network in the entire state of Montana is a great policy to save money. Like, yeah, it's not good, right? This person talks about battling on the phone to get general information for all this different stuff for his wife who has cancer, and it just makes it more difficult, like an already bad situation and terrible situation, even more difficult. So, people pointing it out, obviously, I don't know if these comments were before. I would imagine that they were before, he got killed. But people obviously seeing right through, like, people weren't happy. They were never happy. This stuff starting to like boil over. And the bigger thought is like, is this going to turn into something more problematic? Because this isn't the right way to go about things. But if you leave people no other choice, then this is what happens. When everyone feels like the ruling class and the elites and all these people who are making these decisions and policies, if they feel like they're not on their side, then they don't care. If they feel like they have to do something and you back them in a corner, then people are gonna do that, right? So nobody is in the right here. Both of these people are not great people, but I don't think we should go down a vigilante type of road. And also kind of funny that this, like, the day before this happened, I think Blue Cross and Blue Shield, I think it was, came out and said that they were gonna not support these costs for full-time anesthesia for certain surgeries or something. And then this whole situation happened, and it was the next day they're like, well, actually, we take that back. Actually, we're going to absolutely cover everything. So maybe it's working. Who knows? That's gonna do it for this video. As always, make sure to and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.